Today I want to talk about something that I believe has been haunting the artistic community, and it's called small world validation. But before I get into small world validation, I want to talk about a little bit of a story. And this was senior year of high school. I really liked this girl, and I wanted to ask her out, but I was very nervous about it. So, I postponed it for a little bit, but eventually time came and I wanted to, and it was kind of obvious to her. So I decided to try to ask her out. It didn't go the way I wanted it to. I was kind of friend zoned, and it hurt me for a bit because this was the first time I really put a lot of effort into, asking somebody out, and it didn't go the way I wanted it to. In that moment, I had a lot of negative thoughts. Like, am I ugly? Am I not dateable? Am I not lovable? All these different types of thoughts, because one of the first true experiences where I tried in the dating scene, I failed. And because of that, it was very easy to quit in that moment because the most recent situation I had was a failure. However, I didn't quit, and I'm happy I didn't quit because I had a lot of positive experiences in the future that would not have happened if I didn't continue to try. The point I'm trying to make here is I had one experience, which is like nothing in comparison to the amount of experiences that I will have. And because that was the only experience, that was so powerful that it could have caused me to quit because I was seeking for validation in the only experience I had. However, if I sought that validation that early, I would have missed out on a lot of great opportunities in the future. And this is the small world validation concept I want to talk about. This concept does not just apply to dating. It applies to creators. It applies to all types of things. But it's this idea of basing how far you are on a very recent outcome without seeing the big picture that could happen by what you're creating or what you're doing. As an artist who's trying to succeed, I've gone through so many highs and lows of content creation. I've had videos that gain thousands of views, which is a big plus to me. And I've had videos that have gained maybe dozen views or a couple dozen views, which is a big failure or a flop to me. But in reality, the difference between those two numbers is not much when you're having millions of views. I've never had millions of views, so for me, it's a lot of views to have 1,000 views and not many to have 60. But when you have 1 million views, the difference between 60 and 1,000 is pretty much nothing, and it's nothing to be concerned about. So as an artist, if I try to make a piece of content or a piece of art that will change my life, and I'm just continually creating content for weeks, seeing what works, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this week I got 30 likes, and this week I got 50 likes on my posts on average. What's the difference? 20 people? 20 likes? That's not much in comparison. However, because I'm living in the small world of what I've experienced, that means a lot to me. Therefore, I can be distracted and hurt for no reason. Oh my gosh, I got 50 likes last week, but I got 30 likes this week. It's really nothing, but because of the small world that I'm living in, this impact means so much to me that I can beat myself up about it. I can give up on an actual good format of content instead of continuing it because it's only getting 30 likes as opposed to 50 likes, or it's only getting 60 views as opposed to 100 views. I can give up and distract myself from my true purpose or the thing that will change my life and get me 1 million or 10 million views because I'm so concerned about the difference between 60 and 100 views. And this applies to the dating scene I was bringing up earlier. I had one situation, literally one situation at that time. And if I based my validation on that one situation entirely, I wouldn't have been able to see or continue these processes that could actually work and have worked to me to an extent. I wouldn't have been able to continue in this area because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. Was I really failing? I messed up or I didn't get my result in one thing, but I learned processes and I learned practices and I learned formats that I can apply to future situations, and I did apply to future situations. So I did learn, I did get farther. But if I asked for validation and if I gave up because the validation in that one scenario was not okay, I would have missed out on the bigger picture. See, what we're doing here, and I'm going to bring this graph out because this is what I believe. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping the pen. Like, just to put this in perspective, you get 30 views on a post. You get 50 views on a post. Let's say you want to get 1 million. You want to actually change your life, right? Let's say you want to actually change your life. You're sitting here. I think this is the way to angle it. You're sitting here looking at 30 views. Oh my gosh, this got 30 views. This got 50 views. 1 million is all the way up here. It's nowhere close to 30 or 50. And this graph is actually not proportionally accurate because 1 million would be past this freaking table. It'd be all the way up in the sky in comparison to 30 views and 50 views. You're nowhere pretty much in comparison to where you want to be. You haven't even reached 1% of the success that you will. And that's not an insult. That is a way to stay optimistic, whether it be dating, whether it be everything. You have not received 1% of the success that you will receive. So don't worry about the pennies that you're making right now, because once the format is right, you will get from 0 to 1 million. And I mean that. It takes one situation. Once you build yourself in the dating world right, it takes one person to change your life and suddenly you're married. Like, God damn it, how do we get here? It's because you worked on yourself and you did not let the small situations, when it's a huge world with millions of opportunities in dating and music and all types of content creation, you didn't let the small set of experiences that you've had dictate where you're going to go, because they're nowhere close to where you're going to go. They're not indicative of where you're going to go. They're not proportionally accurate to where you will go, because this road is not linear. And that's what makes it extremely scary. But I just want people to remember that, because for me, I wake up in the morning, I check my Instagram, I check my Twitter. I look, oh my gosh, this didn't get as many likes as I wanted to. And I feel bad. I should not feel bad for a second, because I have always not been getting enough likes. I just have been living in the small world to make myself feel comfortable. Oh, I got 60 likes. Look at me. Oh, I got 30 likes. I suck. That's useless. Both are useless. And everyone has their own little small world. Some of them might be like, oh, I got 500 likes. That sucks. Oh, I got 1,000 likes. That's great. But guess what? If I get my formats right and my processes right, I could surpass all of those people in one day. It takes one day for the shining to happen, but it takes a lot of time to put it in. Right here, overnight success is 10 years in the making. It takes a lot of time to become ready. But once you're ready, your life can change in an instant. So don't be worrying about the linear growth. Oh, this didn't do as well. You're not falling off. You were never on. For anything, dating, all of this stuff, you were never on until you're married, until you make that 100K, until life really changes, it changes. Until then, it didn't. Don't worry about whether you have 2,000 followers or 1,000 followers. Your life can change in an instant. Or people that you're competing with 50 followers, their life can change in an instant. They can surpass you in one day. Seriously, this is how it is. I've realized with me, the reason I brought up the example in the beginning, I realized with me, is because I've always wanted to please certain people. That crush in high school is someone, for some reason, I still want validation from. And every single deep crush I've had is someone I want validation from. And the nostalgia of high school makes it so I want validation from my high school friends or the high school people I knew. I just want them to look at me and say, hey, you're doing good. I want that validation. I crave it so badly, because those were the first people in my really small world that I felt emotional attachment to. In general, whether it be romantic or platonic, that was my small world. And once COVID hit, everything just changed. And I was in this online world. I was separated from these people, and I had to build a bigger world. And deep down, I want that validation from that small world, but I had to realize, you know what? They're not going to like you. Some of them, and some of them will, some of them won't. But your world is bigger than this small world. And you need to be okay with letting go of the small world to see the bigger world. I have friends from Africa. I have friends from all around this country. I have friends from Australia, Canada, India, you name it. People I've worked with, UK, you name it. And that's because I was able to look past the small world. COVID forced me to look past the small world. And I met a whole different group of people. But if I was stuck in the small world craving the validation of a small set of people, I would have never realized that I was meant for something bigger. And that's the same thing for you. You're meant for something bigger than what you have. You're meant for something way bigger than you can even imagine, with everything you want. So don't be constantly checking and evaluating yourself based on a small set of people or likes or anything. Because trust me, you're much bigger than that.